Hey, and welcome to video number 6. In this specific video, you're going to learn ways to break free from your bad habits. The first thing is to use what we call a trigger. A trigger or triggers are rituals that you perform and do before a habit happens. So the trigger comes before a habit. Let me give you an example. Before you sleep, you tend to take a shower, or before you sleep, you tend to brush your teeth, or your alarm clock rings so that you can wake up. So, if you wanted to stop being addicted to Facebook or YouTube, you could smack yourself in the face if you have the urge. No, just kidding. Actually, perhaps you could snap your fingers when you want to do it. A trigger basically helps condition yourself to be consistent. So if you can create some sort of trigger or figure out what kind of trigger it is before you have a habit, then you can create another trigger to break that habit. Another thing that you want to probably do is to write it down on a whiteboard or something that you see every day. Now, your brain is not going to remind you of your commitments, but a whiteboard or reminders can and will. For example, you can write them on a whiteboard so that you can see them every time you wake up. Or you can put them on a calendar and have a system like Google Calendar remind you every day at a specific normal time that the habit happened. So imagine that you have a certain bad habit, like you go on Facebook or YouTube a lot during 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. around the time of your lunch period. So you can have a reminder that is set every day that says, hey, so and so, you're probably looking at Facebook, but you're trying to avoid doing that, so quit it. So this is just another thing that you can use and implement to break a habit. Another thing to do is realistically, you cannot break habits. You can't break too many habits at one time. You've got to focus. Focus is so important. So try to break one habit per month. I know it seems like a long time, but if you think about it, if you do something for about 21 to 30 days, or you don't do something for 21 to 30 days, then you can normally break it. Unless, of course, you do it within those days. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't do that habit for 21 to 30 days. If you do that habit again, you might have to reset it. Try to do one per month. If you try to break 5 within a month, most of the time it's going to fail and you're just going to end up empty-handed because you're going to think about those 5, you're not going to be able to actually focus on one, and it's never going to happen. But amazingly, if you can break 12 habits in a year, which is a lot versus trying to break so many at a time, then you will actually do a lot better. Another method is to replace your needs with rewards. So let's say you break a bad habit. In some sort of way, you're going to need to fulfill it in some sort of different manner. So in this case, when you analyze your time and you remove certain things, you're going to need to replace it later. Now, if you replace it with rewards, it's going to be fun, it's going to be competitive against yourself, and it's going to be a game. It's something that you're going to look forward to doing. For example, if you give up television, then you're going to still want to replace it with another form of entertainment, possibly some sort of productive entertainment, or a different type of entertainment. For example, let's say that you give up Netflix. You've got Netflix streaming, or you've got Netflix DVDs, and you're constantly getting Netflix. And even me, I get really distracted, and some days are unable to work just because you get so distracted. So give up Netflix, but replace it by, let's say, going to the movies. Let's say I say, okay, if I get this project done, I'm going to go to the movies instead and enjoy myself and reward myself. If you do that, you're rewarding yourself to break that habit. Another good technique is to have peer pressure. Now, obviously, peer pressure is not always going to have that positive connotation. A lot of times, peer pressure gets that negative connotation, but in this case, it's more about accountability. Let me give you an example. Peer pressure is good if you can find somebody who really cares about you and wants you to break your bad habits as well. Now, this is not really going to work on somebody who doesn't really care about you. They've got to care about you, whether it's your mother, your father, your sibling, your brother, or your spouse, or so forth. Tell your friend or whoever that you want, that you really trust, hey, I'm going to give you $200 now, or I'm going to give you blank, with the condition that if I break this habit, then you're going to give it back. So it's that incentive that, hey, you get to keep it if I actually do this habit again. Or I get the money back if I actually break this habit in 30 days. So it's kind of like, you've got people together and they say, okay, I'll shave my hair if such and such happens. So it is peer pressure. You've got another person involved. It's not really super accountability with that person, but at the same time, you're being self-accountable to yourself, but at the same time, you've got that as some sort of peer pressure. Another thing is to be consistent by using checkpoints. We all have checkpoints. We go on the road, we drive, and there's checkpoints, and they have to check us and so forth. Why don't you create some checkpoints for yourself? So while you're trying to condition yourself, you may want to set checkpoints, such as 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 365 days, and reanalyze yourself. See, usually at the beginning, you're going to find that it's going to be very, very easy to actually break these habits. But when that 90-day happens, a lot of times people go back into the habit and it's going to be rough. So you want to set checkpoints for yourself to make sure that you're on schedule.